Now recording. Welcome to Webex 202 hosting part 2. We're going to cover several things for you guys today. Hopefully everyone had a chance to attend 201. That's an important thing. There's something that we didn't cover in 201. Most of the previous 201s we actually just recently discovered. So I'm going to share that with you first before we move into all the other topics that we have. And that is how to block sharing. We talked a lot about a lot of different things. And the first thing I need to do is share my screen and get a session up so that I can actually show you guys how to do this. So bear with me. I'm going to have to get the client installed again. This will only take just a second. Unless I had it installed already. Okay. Pam's asked if we could review how to share the screen. You'll actually see me going through those steps here, and so as I'm doing it, I'll walk you through it. Not a problem. So what you guys are seeing is a Webex session on a remote computer. It's going to ask me to log in here, so this will take me just a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this meeting, and I'm going to ask a couple of the IT folks that might be here with me if you'll drop out and of that meeting and join this one, or actually you could stay in both if you want to, and y'all know the URL already. So in 101 and 201, we talked about how to start a meeting and things like that, so I'm not going to go over those things here. We're just going to go ahead and get started. And if you can see this part right here, Howard, this is where the options are. You got the automatic adjustment of the microphone. You can pick which microphone that you want to use, that type of thing. This is in your preview that you'd want to see. All right, so we got a couple of folks that have joined us in our test meeting. The other question you had, Marty, about the layout thing, it was either this part right here, which you'll put it in grid view, speaker only view, or the default, which is the one with the thumbnails down across the bottom, or it's while we're sharing, and so I'll get to that for you in just a couple minutes. But the thing that I really wanted everybody to see, and this was something that we talked about lock meeting in 201, but we didn't go into options in 201, and this has not been part of 202 or 201, so I wanted to cover it for us now here as well. If you go into meeting options, you can allow your participants to turn on video or not. So that means everybody, including you, can you share video or not? So if I turn this off, nobody can share video, not even me. So that's important for you to know. You can turn on and off chat. You can turn on and off notes. You can have a single note taker, and that means you can assign someone to take notes for the meeting. If you had like a secretary that does notes for an organization or something like that, you can turn on and off file transfers. Closed captioning, we can do. We'll talk about that in advanced, but it's not automatic. Somebody has to type it. So that means while you're talking, somebody else is going to have to type. So we'll talk about that in the advanced class. The rest of these things in here don't really matter, but those things are important for you. The other thing we did not cover is how to prevent someone from sharing their video, like sharing their screen. And you've got this option here underneath participant. Anyone can share. So if I uncheck that, Now, I am the only person that can share, whoever is the presenter. They are the only people that can share. Now, we're not talking about their video from their video camera. We're talking about sharing their screen. So right now, in this meeting that we were doing with with David and Marcia and myself, right now I'm the only person that can share my thing. So again, I wanted to cover, Pam, you'll need to make your own screen larger. You can do that either some sort of a maximize button up the top right or so. This is a pretty big, on mine right now, it's about the size of a 20-inch, 22-inch monitor right now. So you'll just need to make yours larger on your end. I can't make mine any bigger, sorry. But you do have those options up at the top to be able to make those larger. So now to cover the things we wanted to cover here, there are a few things when you're setting up a meeting that you may want to turn on or off that I wanted to talk to you guys about. And underneath meeting up here, you have a thing called welcome message. So if I click on welcome message, it's going to open up a web browser and it's going to automatically fill in a default message for me, and I can change this to say whatever I want to say. And when I join the meeting, whoever joins the meeting after that is going to get a little pop-up. Many of you may have gotten the pop-up for the welcome message that I had placed on this meeting. It wasn't there for the first several of you, but I put it there not too long after we got this meeting going. And you can turn that on or off by this little checkbox as to whether or not they're going to see it. You've got 255 characters, which is a pretty decent length for a basic welcome message. And in that, you probably want to do things like tell people to make sure they're muted. The default is actually pretty good. And to respect others with their audio and video. And you may want to remind them to check their video backgrounds or something like that. So that's one thing. The other thing, this is a question we've had a lot, was the entry and exit tone. What is that? And so when somebody leaves or enters, you can see this right here, it's checked. So you're going to hear a little tone when a new participant joins or a participant leaves. If that is distracting, maybe you've got a meeting that's going to last quite a while and you've got people coming in and dropping out on a regular basis, just like people getting up and walking out of a meeting and coming back in. If you've got that kind of a meeting that's going on and you're asking your students to work in pairs and they're leaving and they're coming back into that while you're working with other portions of your students, you may want to turn that entry exit tone off. If it's distracting to you, you may want to turn it on or off. You may want to have someone else handle that for you as well, making sure that you know who is coming into a meeting and who is leaving the meeting. So with that takes us directly into our next piece, which is moderation assistance. So in a meeting like we have right now, we have 31 folks in this meeting. It may be too much, especially if there's going to be a lot of back and forth for one person to manage. And everybody has different levels of what they're comfortable with. So please don't think that I'm saying that anybody can't do something, because that is the last thing that I'm saying. I have a difficult time when we get up around the 60 to 70 mark, managing it all myself. I've gotten decent at it with enough practice. Everybody can get better. But especially if you're just starting out, you're going to have to, may have to have some help if you have a larger meeting. If you got 10 or 15 and people are behaving themselves, you're probably fine. But if you got a lot of people that are not behaving themselves and you got to be kicking people and trying to get them back in and things like that, that could very well mean that you need someone else to assist you. So in order to have someone assist you, as the host, I can ask someone else to become the host. And David, can you hear me okay? Just nod your heads all. Yes. Okay, cool. I can hear him now too. So what I'm going to do is I can right-click David's name if I want him to help and have him become the host. Now, if he's the presenter, that means he can actually show things on the screen, but he's not going to present. He's going to moderate for me. So he's going to be watching for raised hands. He's going to attend to audio issues, or maybe if someone's causing problems, either intentionally or unintentionally during the meeting, and he's going to watch the chat for things that are going on and answer questions or bring those chat things to my attention and play with his cat. So I'm going to click on host and I am going to give that role to him. And now he is the host. And you're going to see I no longer have the capability to mute or unmute anyone. Normally as a host, if you remember in 201, you can mute or unmute folks. I can't do that now. And when I'm the host, I can't raise my hand. But since I'm no longer the host of this meeting, I can raise my hand. So David has the ability to do all those things. So he can mute, he can watch all the chats and everything, but I am still the presenter. If you know that little ball, we talked about passing the ball in 201 briefly. I am still a presenter, so I still have the capability to share and do all those different things. Something we discovered just recently about sharing, and again, we'll cover this more in our next 201, and I'll cover it again as well. No problem, John. And I'll cover it again as well as we practice everything in advanced. The advanced course this afternoon is going to be a whole lot of hands-on. Something we discovered when you go to share. If you're going to be sharing anything from your computer that has audio, or if you're going to be sharing something that's going to be maybe a video from YouTube or something like that, so music or video, you want to change this drop down. I talked about this once, but we weren't 100% clear on what it did. But since we have found out that if you don't change that, you will not be able to share your computer audio. The audio will not come through. If anyone does hear it, they're going to hear it coming through your microphone. It'll be very faint, and there will be a lag between basically what's being said, and the mouth will not match up because the audio's got to come out of your computer, go back through your mic, and that's going to cause anywhere from a quarter to a half a second or more of lag. So if you do it this way, it will not have any lag, and that stream will go directly to all of your attendees just the way you want it to. So that's a very important thing that you need to be aware of. Back to our moderation piece. Let's say that David is not doing a good job as moderator, and maybe he had an emergency and he had to step out. That's a better one, right? So he has an emergency and he has to step out. If you'll note over here underneath participant, I can reclaim the host role. You might get confused and think you can do this. Change role? Nope, does not work. You can only do it from this participant menu. So we can go back and reclaim that host role. And now I'm host, and now I have the option to mute and unmute folks and kick folks out and all those things that I do have as the host. So the host really controls the meeting. Just because this is my personal room, I don't have to host. I can have a moderator do those things for me. Something that we'll talk about really extensively in the advanced class later on this afternoon will be other options that are here. Note taker, closed captionist. We'll talk about the assigned privileges in that meeting and those types of things, because there's all kinds of wonderful little things that you can do there. So 202 is really actually a fairly short topic. We're only about 15 minutes in, and we have covered all the specifics that we have slated for 202. We'll cover most of the rest of the stuff when we are in the advanced course. And that course, if you'll notice, I've got slated for 90 minutes. We'll spend about 15 minutes at the start of it, and then we're going to practice some stuff. So what I would ask now, is there anybody that wants to practice anything at all? We can work on that and move forward. Or are there any questions, I should say? You guys can either unmute yourself and speak, or you can raise your hand, and then I can call you out, or you can type it in. I'm not seeing any hands raised.
Anthony.
Writing on the whiteboard.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So from what I understand from 101, I go in, put the application on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
When I set it up through my application, I can set up my own private room.
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
From there, I can attach all my attendees, and I will be the host in my personal room.
That's correct.
And when I'm in my personal room, I can give that option of hosting to someone else.
That's correct. Basically, you can turn that over temporarily, only for that one session, over to another person. Now, they can't start a meeting in your personal room or anything like that, but during that session, they can handle all the muting, unmuting, changing settings, things like that.
Okay. And the host has the power. Whoever has the hosting capability has the power of mute, unmute, and all of that.
Exactly. That role of host is really the critical role to manage the meeting.
Okay.
And if you give it to somebody, you can take it back. That's
Okay.
another important thing to remember. You can go underneath the participant, and I'm already the host right now, but if I had given it to David again, I would be able to reclaim host role. I could take that hosting power back to myself.
Okay.
All right, we've got a chat question here I'm going to cover real quick. Writing on the whiteboard, is there an easier way? So let me share a whiteboard in here and we'll go over that really quickly. We'll go over that some more annotations and all that stuff in the advanced class, but I'm going to go in and do a new whiteboard. I'm going to go back to text and images. That's if you have it motion and video, you can't do a whiteboard. You have to go back to text and images before you can do a whiteboard, by the way. So if you just click on the pen, you're going to get this big fat thing, and it's kind of hard to write anything with that. I'm thinking that might be what you're talking about, John. May need some more information, but if you click on the little arrow next to it, you can change it to pencil and do it like that.
Actually, my question is, and I used this last night,
Okay.
and just being able to make it neater, cleaner. Is there some sort of touchpad that you can recommend or option that as I'm writing, it just looks nicer? Because it's just, I mean, I teach math, so if you try to do a math equation using either one of those pens, it's just
Right.
hard.
Oh, I agree 100%. And you can get, I know Dave Paris just mentioned Wacom to me, and that's something I've used before. The thing I don't like about Wacom tablets, they're not that expensive. They're like 50 or 60 bucks, I think. And they plug in USB to your computer, and it's like a mouse pad size device. And you have a little stylus that you can write on, but you're not looking at that. You're having to look at the screen and write on a desk, and you can imagine how good your handwriting can be. That takes a bit of practice to get used to it. What I would recommend, honestly, is getting familiar with Microsoft Word. I think it's Word that has the math function capability in it, so you can learn what all the symbols are and things like that in there, and then you can share that Word document, and you can type away in there once you've learned those. I wish I had a better option for you. Right now, that's the best options that we can provide. We will continue to look into it, though.
Okay.
So look
Thanks,
for some
man.
emails. Yes, sir. Let's see. Given the size of participants and time of day, I'd like to share a few seconds of video to see the performance. We've got one other person that already wants to share as well. So Annette Baker asked, what was the tool mentioned with the stylus right? Wacom tablet. It's something we've considered to use at the college, but I've had concerns about having to write while you're not looking at what you're writing. I don't know how faculty would feel about that. Too bad we're not having our session on Friday for the academic conference. We were going to have some of those available along with some other neat little new tools that we were going to let you guys try out and give me some feedback on to see what you guys like. So we've got two folks that want to share. We'll start with Pam. Let me go ahead and exit out of this right here. And if we're going to be sharing inside our message, David, I'm going to close out, David and Marsha, I'm going to close out our test run here. And if y'all want to join us back in the other one, you're more than welcome to. And I will stop sharing here. There we go. And I need to turn back on so that anyone can share. And you should be good to go now. Pam, if you would. Let me unmute her. Here.
Okay.
Pam, I've got you unmuted.
Okay, so where do I go? I see you and I see the chat room. How do I get to the share?
If you move your mouse around in the middle of the screen there towards the bottom, you'll see a row of icons. And if you haven't attended a 201 yet, that's where we really talk about how to share. So you may want to go back and watch some of those.
I did practice sharing, but I keep getting this tunnel vision.
Okay, when you say tunnel vision, tell me what you mean.
It it comes up and it shows a screen, and then it shows another screen within that screen, the same screen, and it just keeps going. So you get
Repeating through infinity.
probably.
That will happen. It shouldn't happen to you, not with the way you're doing it. Go ahead and try to share, like click on your share button, and you probably have something that says screen 1. Do you see that?
Okay. Just tell me again where the share is. I'm not seeing it.
It's in the row of icons at the bottom. If you move your mouse around in the middle of the screen, you should see the row of icons at the bottom. It's got your mic, your video, and then the third option there.
Okay. All right. I see that. And the share is
Screen 1 is probably the one you want to share.
okay. I'm sorry, but these icons are different than the ones that I saw before. I see the 3 dots. I see an X. I see the chat. I see the people. I see the videos. I don't see a share.
Let's see, I enabled anyone can share. So I'm going to make you the presenter, even though I shouldn't really have to for this, but I'm going to make you the presenter. Let's see, did that change anything for you?
No. Okay. Wait here. I see. This one I open and it says open system preferences. Says allow Webex meetings to record your computer screen so that you can share content in meetings. So I guess I should do that.
Okay, that's a new one. I haven't seen that one before. By the way, while we're letting her run through this, Sean looked up the infinite tunnel, and that can happen if you're sharing your own screen and you're looking at your Cisco WebEx meetings window. Primarily, that would happen if you had it hard locked on your video, probably. Most of the time, when you share, you can't look at your Cisco WebEx meetings window. It locks you out of that on purpose. And that's why, if you guys remember from 201, the icons all move to the top of the screen through a hidden menu. That's the thing that's important there. It prevents that infinity window for the most times.
Okay, so I'm allowing Cisco WebEx meetings. I have to take a minute to read this. You can choose to quit. So it says Cisco WebEx meetings will not be able to record the contents of your screen until it is quit. So I'm going to quit that.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to, do you want to leave meeting? And I don't want to leave the meeting, I guess, so I cancel that. Okay, so now I see the share screen. Okay, now we're making progress here. So I see the share screen, and I want to share my web page from my Linear Tech course materials. That's what I want to share.
Okay. You can pick just that. You may want to pick screen 1. I don't know if you remember in 201, we talked in the last couple of 201 sessions about the likely possibility of having something blocking part of the screen if you're trying to share a specific application. So I would recommend that you guys try to share screen 1.
Okay, see, I'm sorry, but what do you mean by share screen 1?
If you look at the very top of the share content window, when you click that share button, it should say screen 1.
Hold on.
Are you using the menu items at the top or down in the bottom in the middle?
Well, you told me to go to the top, so now I'm at the top, and it says optimize for text and images, share content. So
okay. How about this?
Screen. It doesn't say screen 1. It just says screen. Should that be?
Yes. Go ahead and share that one. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We see your entire screen.
So now I am sharing you're seeing my my email, I guess.
You got it.
Okay, so now if I wanted to go back to my course material, I would have to just go back here and go back to Blackboard, open up my course. Right? You're seeing all this, right?
Yes, ma'am. That's it.
Over here. Okay, so that's what I want to be able to do. All right. Thank you so much.
Sure. No problem. And to stop sharing, if you go to it should be in the top in the middle. You should have a little orange box up there, and you should see it. If you put your mouse up there, a menu's going to drop down,
Stop
and you should
sharing.
see stop sharing. You got it.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. So, Mr. Parrish, would you like to go ahead and unmute yourself and share?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Let's see. Share audio, share screen. Around and play in the video. And video window should pop up and play back.
In this video, I'm going to show you a few professional video editing techniques using.
Did the audio and the video come through in sync?
It took well, on my end, it lagged just a little bit. But now that may be my internet connection.
Okay, let's time.
iMovie's Precision Editor.
So we're right now.
Hey, it's Mike with more tips and tutorials to help you create great video for your YouTube channel.
Everything looks good from here. How about everybody else? You're seeing, does it look like the voice matches the words?
Yeah, this is
for her. Awesome.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Anthony.
I guess so. Would anybody else like to try anything or test anything? We'll be doing a lot of that in the advanced class that starts, is it 3, I think? It starts at 3 o'clock. That's a 90-minute class, and so we're going to do a lot of that. We'll pair off, possibly even leave and come back into the Webex, that kind of thing. We've got someone else trying to share here. All right, we see the Webex webpage. I'm going to unmute you so you can speak. We can see your mouse moving. Cannot hear anything. Your mic may not be working.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, awesome.
Yes. So I clicked on the screen 1.
Yes.
So what do I do next?
You're sharing. That's it. So whatever you want to share with the people in the meeting, you would just show them on your screen.
Do you see it now?
Yes, we do. Right now, it's my personal Webex room that you're seeing. And then I see your mouse is over your email tab over there, and you've got a Blackboard tab open, and it looks like Linear Tech's homepage is open.
Yes.
So anything that you see on your screen will be basically what we see. Pam Bailey asked, is Webex similar to Collaborate Ultra? Unfortunately, I really don't know. I'm not sure what capabilities are between the two. Yeah, Annette says no. So Annette, I don't know if if you don't mind, Annette, would you mind speaking to that really quick if I unmute you?
Well, I think Collaborate servers have been taxed greatly this week, and at the beginning of the week, my 2 sessions started out great, but as the week has progressed, I do believe more people are using it, and so the students are constantly getting cut out, or they have to leave and come back in, and the WebEx seems to be much more seamless. And so I'm getting ready to switch over to WebEx.
Okay, great. Again, I want to reiterate, I talked about it in 201 before. I really don't want to tout one over the other. Blackboard Collaborate is not something that we in IT have access to. That's really Angelia and Wendy's thing. But we have access to Cisco WebEx, and TCSG pays for it for all of us. And so we are trying to make sure you've got another tool in your toolbox. Again, Collaborate, Zoom, WebEx, they may all be screwdrivers and they may all fit a little bit different socket, but in the end, you can probably get the same job done with most of them. So use the one that suits you best. And as David McMurray says, WebEx does have Cisco, the largest networking company in the world, behind it. I see that thumbs up there, which is a very good thing for them. Any other questions, guys? Feel free to do a raise your hand or type them in the chat. If not, we are done with this session, and we'll see hopefully just about everybody at 3.
Anthony, I would like to bring up a whiteboard. I'd like to do that if I might share and share a whiteboard.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, here I go.
Pam, hey, while you're doing that, Pam Haley asks, how do students access WebEx? If you've been in 201, we talked about how to schedule a meeting. And basically, you send them a link, and they click the link, and they put in their name and email address, no password, and they can log in. Sean Flynn says his experience has been WebEx is similar in capabilities to Collaborate Ultra, but like he says as well, your service levels may vary. So we've had issues earlier in the week once or twice with WebEx, but I guess Cisco has really ramped up their capacity because those issues have seemed to have been mitigated. So either less people are using it or Cisco has increased capacity. We can certainly see your WebEx, your whiteboard there, Marty.
Huh?
We can see your whiteboard.
Okay. What I was going to try to do is to use my stylus to write on the whiteboard. But I'm not sure. Let's see.
First thing you'd have to do is select a pen. So on the left-hand side, just above the color block, number one, you'll need to change the color from white because white on white, nobody's going to see anything.
Okay, where's the colors?
It's the third one from the bottom on the left-hand side.
1, 2, 3.
And you click that, and you should see blocks of color.
I don't see blocks of color. Let me see. Here we go. I got the color block now. We're gonna pick black. Okay, so I got black, right?
Good. And right above that color block, there's a pin. So now you notice that there's a pin and then there's an arrow next to the pin. If you click that arrow, you're going to get an option for basically a highlighter size or a pencil size.
Let's go with pencil.
Yep. So click on that.
Yeah, I got the pencil tool.
And now you just see if you can do it with your stylus.
Okay, let's see what we got. Nothing.
Okay. So I'm not familiar. Do you have a touch screen?
I do. I have a touch screen. I have a brand new HP Pavilion X360. Okay. And it's got it's a touch screen. It's also optimized for using an art program. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, instead of using the whiteboard in this, it might be better for you to share your screen and then draw that way. Whatever tools you have built into your computer, that might be the easier thing to do.
Okay, let me see. Share my meeting window.
There you go. And you probably want to, instead of having that whiteboard open, see if I can open up an application that you would normally write on your laptop.
Okay, how do I get rid of this? Where do you get rid of the whiteboard?
Top right, there are 3 icons, an X, 2 little windows, and then a dash. The dash will minimize the window. It looks like you may be sharing just your WebEx window. I think you are. So what I'm going to do is let me start you over, okay?
Start me over.
Yes, ma'am. And let's close out the whiteboard.
Okay.
Now, down in the middle, you've got your mic, your video, and then your share area there.
So go share content.
Do share screen. Should be at the very top of that. If you share an application, you can run into all kinds of other things.
So screen 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Now we're seeing your desktop. So now you open up whatever you normally write on. Whatever tools you have on there, you can use. We can see your.
Open Microsoft Whiteboard.
There you go.
Okay. And I'm gonna say, yeah, hi there. Do you want to switch to tablet? Yes, I do. Okay, there we go. Create a new whiteboard
Sure.
and everybody sees it.
We
Is
do.
that right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Dave. And thank you, Howard. Appreciate the kind words. We can see it very, very well.
Okay, this is whiteboard. And can move it around. I can do all kinds of stuff with it. Okay.
Exactly.
Then a stylus and a whiteboard, that seems to work real well. Like if I were to turn David Butler loose with a stylus, he could actually write formulas, da, 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 and it would be shared, right?
Sure. The only catch is you have to have a touch screen in order to do that. And none of the laptops that we have, unfortunately, are touchscreen.
Oh, so his LTC laptop is not going to do this.
That's correct.
Oh, bummer.
I
That
know.
would sure be perfect for him. Well, at any rate, I'll tell him to do that. Okay, how do I get out of this thing though? So anyway,
If you move your mouse up towards the top of the screen, you should see a little orange bar up there. If you put your mouse on top of that, it should bring down a little
Stop
menu.
sharing.
Stop sharing. You got it.
Stop sharing. Thank you very much. That was easy enough.
And I encourage you guys to pick a partner and do some one-on-one or pick a small group of 3 or 4 or 5 of you and just kind of experiment. And you'll learn a lot just from using it and find those things that you know are going to be useful for you, whether it's to host a session for just a meeting or to actually lead a class.
Okay, thank you, Anthony.
You're welcome.
And it's at 3 o'clock, the other one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, see you then.
Great. Yes, ma'am. All right, guys, I'm going to stop our recording here.